Hello there, good morning. Welcome back to Morning at NTV. My name is Malaki Vilodera. Now today on the Kickstarter segment, we are talking about counterfeit, fake, substandard products. And today we're trickling that conversation down to our foods. And so just a report the other day was actually, sent out to the media. And there was this particular worry from one of the senior government officials. And this is Miss Mary Okrut, the minister in charge of general duties. And she said that, the agencies that are mandated to look into the quality of the foods that we're taking need to beef up, their services, so we don't have these issues again, time and again. So in studios to talk about that, I've brought to you this particular agency, and we have Mr. Hakim Mufumbiro. He is the manager standards at the Uganda National Bureau of Standards. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Next to him is Dr. Grace Nambatia. She is a director for research at the Natural Chemotherapeutics Institute in the Ministry of Health. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'll start with you, Mr. Hakim. Of course, you saw this, and substandard products are now getting into our food that we're actually taking in. What's your response to that?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning, listeners. It is true that UNBS conducted a survey last year where we identified the number of the percentage of substandard products on the market, which were varying from maybe cosmetics, electricals, and food products. The area of food has been having a number of products that have been identified as substandard because of so many other reasons, which is probably a worrying trend, because of we want to ensure that we actually protect the consumers who are actually taking this food, and ensure that all the Ugandan who goes to the shop to buy any food should be safe at the end of the day. So I think as part of the measures that Uganda National Bureau of Standards is actually undertaking currently, is that because of the opening up of a number of now region offices for UNBS, we're improving in terms of service delivery to ensure that we are able to reach even the area that we weren't reaching before. We have very good presence now in terms of the coverage at the entry points,
right,
to ensure that all the products are actually coming into the country have been inspected, and all the food products that are expected to be coming into the country should have been inspected prior to coming into the country.
So what you're saying is that this substandard food products are actually coming from outside the country?
Well, the truth of the matter is that Uganda remains a net importer. So virtually we import everything that actually that we consume, most of the products. But we also have products which are actually produced and manufactured in the country, which do not meet necessarily the standards. And one of the measures that we have actually taken now is the rolling out of what is now called mandatory certification. So effective next year, probably by the start of next year, we'll not be expecting any product to actually get on the market unless it actually has been certified. Previously, we have been running a voluntary scheme where we expect that a producer, you're producing some juice or some food product somewhere, you just actually make the product and place it on the market. That is going to change, because now we expect a mandatory certification, and everyone should actually be able to comply to the standards.
All right, and we'll get back to the issue of forgery, and of course your logo has been put even on fake products, so we'll get into that particular conversation. But let me bring in Dr. Grace on this one. It's okay to have, someone would say, it's okay to have other products that are substandard, counterfeit, fake, but food is another ballgame altogether. So just help us understand the dangers of human beings taking in fake or substandard food products.
Actually, you must be aware that we almost have an epidemic of cancers, and a contribution to toxicity in foods to cancers can really be, currently, if measured, it would be very significant. Toxicity talked about in terms of, say, aflatoxins. People use lots of peanut products, and if you really to do a search, you would find peanuts maybe going green, fit for planting, but then they are processed in like mostly terms of what we may call paste. A lot of peanut paste is on the market, and if it was processed with aflatoxins, you don't need a big dose to really be knocked off with cancers. So the cancers are around. Really, there is a lot of need to establish the contributors to that. So in our mandate under Ministry of Health, Natural Chemotherapeutics, we mostly go for indigenous foods that pass as medicine. And you find new products these days like in seed form, like chia seeds, amaranth seeds. You find dried stuff like hibiscus. They all pass as food. What I know is that UNBS has been endeavoring to put standards for some of those, but not all yet.
Yes.
So when I hear that there is that effort of even ensuring that nothing goes onto the market without a standard mark, I think that will move us in the positive direction.
Let's get to the standard mark, Mr. Hakim, and the standard mark is everywhere. You go to Chikubo, you'll find that standard mark of UNBS. And most of these standard marks, we were having a conversation with one of your officials, and they were saying that now these people have gotten the game so right. Even for you people, it's hard for you to identify an authentic standard mark and that one that is fake. Do we say that? Even let me just ask you this: how do we attribute that to, and what do we attribute that to? The fact that even the standard marks are, forged, and how do we solve that?
Well, I think it is it is illegal for someone to actually have a mark that's actually not the one that we have gazetted to be used on products. Uganda being a free market economy, everything actually happens in the market, and it is absolutely very difficult to check whatever actually goes on in the market. One of the areas that that we have been emphasizing on, and this goes to the issue that relates to consumer education. If the consumer is actually empowered and knows that actually what the right product with the right mark appears this way, then they're actually able to take that decision. But I will agree that we have not made significant inroads in trying to educate the masses and the consumers and giving them all the necessary information, and which is one of the reasons why now we are going out wide in terms of the coverage of our services and being able to empower the consumers, because at the end of the day, it is the consumer who actually makes the decision. And if they actually make the right decision, then we'll actually be able to regulate the market better. Okay. Otherwise, it is it's not possible that you expect the regulator to actually clean up the market alone. So I think with working with everyone and sharing the right information, it should be able to be to clean out as we go.
So before I actually move to Dr. Grace, how do we identify a fake mark? A mark that is not genuinely gazetted by UNBS. How do we identify that? Because these marks are everywhere.
Well, the UNBS corporate colors are blue, so the mark is in terms of a triangle with the crane in the middle, and it is distinctive in terms of the way the colors appear. I would know that many times. Some of the products, because probably the printing and whatever, you'd find that some of the specific items are actually not appearing on the mark. But I would agree that probably it's not the mark that you would probably find that it has security features or something like that. So it's not in that form, and ideally would expect that probably someone who is trying to use it would actually be using the right one. But the issue of avoiding many other people actually using the mark in the market when they actually are not when they're certified is an area that we actually now preoccupied with to try to solve the challenges that actually many of the unscrupulous traders in the market are trying to exploit because of the limited presence and the limited capacity. But with the support of many of the ministries, departments, and agencies who are actually looking out for the same objective, we should be able to reach the space where we are able to actually have a cleaner market in terms of what appears in the market.
Okay, Dr. Grace, does it help to look at the ingredients at the in the packaging of this particular foods? How do we go about identifying? You've talked about peanut and peanut sauce, peanut butter, but with other products, how do we go about identifying that this product is actually authentic and not substandard?
Actually, again, on the side of UNBS, I know they have labs that can support, like government analytical laboratories, but then that requires one to go into the market and sample some products, take them to the lab, because people who cheat will give you all that you would expect, but if you sample, you'll find that probably the ingredients, what is on the label is not what is in the ingredient. So on the side of food that crosses into like herbal medicine, currently we're supported by the National Drug Authority. There is a new lab just to spot check some of those herbals that may double as food stroke herbal, as long as it goes into the medicine side. And amazingly, there is a lot of adulteration now being really found out, especially where declarations are related to libido. Yeah, people have go to pharmacies and buy pure products and adulterate, but this has also been found from imported products that appear as food stroke enhancing libido. There is adulteration. So at least that lab is doing some good work, and it has opened our eyes to really going across the country to pick even more samples, and actually to us currently it's a research issue. All right. Which should really inform policy.
But doctor, we know now we have substandard eggs, rice, call it, name it, even fish now. So as a common person going just out to buy my food, I need food in my house. For me to be vigilant, beg your pardon, what should I look out for? How do I know that by this pack of rice, there's something about it? What are the telltale signs? Or it's hard to tell with the normal eye?
To me, I think it's a tricky question, because we're in the information age, and that information passing around is yet to be substantiated. Yeah, it's a bit tough, because for me, I would encourage one to go to the organic market, you know, because there I could easily tell. Yeah, so I think maybe UNBS can try with that one.
Okay. All right. Mr. Hakim, how do we identify that?
Yeah, I think as indicated by Dr. Nambatia, food fraud is one of the biggest challenges that is affecting food safety globally. And elements of economically motivated fraud, where someone intentionally puts a product on the market, they are looking for money. It's not real about maybe having the products on the market which compromises the safety of the people that consume the products, is a tough war to actually win, because ultimately, if you put yourself in the shoes of a consumer, you're just on the shelf, and you're trying to make that decision, and it takes you a few seconds to actually determine that now I'll actually buy this food. Some of the messages that we actually encourage many of the consumers to actually look out for is, first of all, that products have actually been certified, because that's the first step in confirming that the product consistently meets the standards and has been checked.
How do we know that a product is certified?
The products actually have the Q mark, the quality mark, which is conspicuous, and that's why we're actually rolling out mandatory certification, so that everything that you actually find in the market would have been checked, it meets the standards, and is actually fit for human consumption. But to add on, probably in terms of policy and the system that we're currently running in Uganda, because of the rapid changes in the food safety space, the current legislation and framework does not support the advances that are actually happening. You very well that in Uganda we have the Food and Drugs Act, which was set up almost 50 years ago in 1964. The drug component was operationalized in 1993 to create the National Drug Authority. The food component has remained idle for all that time, and we have been of course at the forefront of trying to establish a modern food safety control system that responds to the emerging challenges that we're actually having in the market, rather than the classical way of going to the market and checking and finding faults. So, but that bill has been in Parliament, in Cabinet, and for quite some time. So which we think is not supporting the efforts that we actually want to have controls that are responding to the challenges in the market.
We have seen brands that are trying to really fight this, especially brands that have been, you know, at the exposure of, you know, unscrupulous dealers who actually counterfeit their products and end up making more sales than the original, you know, kind of companies. And most of them have gone this route. They've taken technology up. And so if you buy this product, you're told, okay, by the way, we have this call code. Make sure you type it in so you know that if this product is actually fake or authentic. So is that a direction that maybe UNBS wants to take? Because even for the common person, as much as you want to make sure that we have security marks and all these other marks, it will be hard for someone to tell between a good mark, an authentic mark, and a fake one. So is that a direction to take, embracing technology to sort out this issue?
We have actually taken that direction. We started with the agro inputs, because that was one of the biggest challenges of the market. Many people were, if you go anywhere in any forum, they'll tell you about fake inputs, fake fertilizers, and related aspects. So we worked with a program under USAID to put up that system where you actually just find a code on the product, you scratch, send an SMS, it's free, and then it will actually give you confirmation that the product's actually not a genuine product. And at that point, you're able to actually make a decision whether to go ahead and buy or not actually buy. I think that is what we should now be going into for all the other products that we actually that actually on the market. And the food area is, of course, as we noted from the beginning, is very sensitive. It touches everyone. We eat food on a daily basis, and we should be able to support that the system of ensuring that everything that's actually on the market is in the interest of the consumers, and the consumers are not affected in any way.
What are the timelines of this implementation?
For
this particular code, technology-wise, where you SMS a code to know whether a product is fake or not? Well,
probably we could maybe be talking about maybe next financial year, not necessarily this financial year, because we started in a structured system, and ultimately we should be able to roll out to the other sectors that are critical in the market.
All right, all right. Dr. Grace, just tell us right now, because you know, like you said, especially when it comes to GNAT sauce, I mean, you're a nation that loves GNAT sauce. So what do we do as a solution? I can't eat my food without GNAT sauce. How do we survive?
For me, you're better off picking unprocessed nuts and going to a quality place. You know, at least supermarkets normally pack quality when it comes to nuts, and then you should process them yourselves, because most processors are not of standard. You eat part of the machine.
You eat part of the machine?
Yes.
Wow.
On the market, there are people who have endeavored to bring stainless steel processors, and people tend to have this feeling that maybe they're expensive, but you need to really treasure your life. Go for the stainless steel processor and then process your own nuts. There are many varieties of processors on the market. Yeah, but really, because once you get this thing already processed, you wouldn't know the mold that was in there. In fact, nuts attract molds very easily, and if it's not molds, then it's aflatoxins. If not, then the machine, you know, grinding. But then talking about safety, you may get all these well-packed, labeled, but then the carriers in which people carry food, the black polythene bag, it's total disaster, you know. And so when you look at the whole process, maybe from farm to the plate, the consumers have a lot to learn, because they can spoil it at the end of it all.
Let me ask you, you just say the black, is it just the black polythene, bags, or also the clear polythene bags? Because when you go to the shelves in the supermarkets, this GNAT pastes are actually packaged in polythene bags.
Well, black is worse, because the black, the black material chemically is carcinogenic, and normally it ends into people's cigarettes, and they suck in that smoke when lighting the cigarettes, and it's implied in cancers. So other colors, unless they're devoid of that black stuff, so you find people get this food, like we said, okay, go fresh, the fresh market, but then they cook using the polythene. So the polythene bag is also another issue. Even the clear bags in which these foods are packed, there is need to assess them for
Quality?
BPA, there is what we call biphenyl component that ends into the food. So these should be food grade, and that is also an issue to look at. Not every not every polythene should be used for packing.
So do we just buy the sauce that has been packaged in plastic containers? Is that a
the
better
plastic,
option?
the containers, they need to be looked into. Are they food grade?
Yeah.
Because even the bottles that in which water is packed,
That's true.
there are grades in there. You get this water and the bottle is very soft. Somebody throws it in the back of the car, the sun shines on it, and then of course extracts out what we call artificial estrogens. That's why we're seeing lots of fibroids in women, because these are propagators of fibroids due to excess estrogen, hormonal imbalances. Yeah, so we really need to come out and face this, because the indicators are so many
Right.
of all these health challenges.
Wow, as we come to a close, Mr. Hakim, now we know even the packaging is an issue.
Packaging is a big issue.
So is UNBS looking into that as well?
Actually,
As we come to a close.
actually, as UNBS, if you look at the standards that we actually put in place, they cover the entire food chain. So we ensure that we actually put in place standards that cover from the production up to when someone buys the products and takes it to their kitchen or so. And one of the elements that we cover in the standards is the appropriate packaging. And we emphasize the point that has been raised by Dr. Nambatia of food grade. And ultimately, it is me who is actually producing the product who must ensure that the package that I'm using is food grade, because at the end of the day, I shoulder the responsibility. I think one of the areas that we need probably as we close is to show the actual responsibility of food safety along the entire value chain, and demonstrate whichever role a regulator plays, whichever role a manufacturer plays, whichever role a consumer plays. With that given all the roles clearly demonstrated, we'll be able to make inroads into securing the safety of our consumers.
Okay, we'll give you time until the next financial year, and then we'll bring you in back to see how much you've been able to achieve so far. All
Thank
right,
you.
that has been the conversation here on Kickstarter segment. Thank you so much for coming in studios, Mr. Hakim Mufumbiro, the manager of standards at the Uganda National Bureau of Standards. Thank you so much for coming in studios.
Thank you.
Dr. Grace Nambatia, the Director of Research, Natural Chemotherapeutics Institute at the Ministry of Health. Thank you so much for coming in.
Welcome.
So that has been the conversation here on Kickstarter. Don't go away, for Morning at 10 TV still continues.